In Nigeria, the 1999 Constitution recognizes housing as a fundamental human right. Hence, it is imperative that Nigerians have access to decent and comfortable accommodation at affordable cost. The program is housing development. Here, we advocate for the provision of affordable, low-cost housing for low-income Nigerians. As always, I am Flora Ani, your housing diva. Eid Mubarak to all my Muslim viewers. On May 1st, Nigerian workers celebrated Labor Day. While some of them are homeowners, others are still tenants. What is their hope of owning a house upon or before retirement? This and more will be discussed on the program today. But as usual, let's bring you the news headline for the week. I'll be back shortly.
Sub-Saharan Africa's largest cement producer, Dangote Cement, has raised 116 billion naira in the Nigerian capital market's largest corporate bond sale, with the conclusion of the offering of 116 billion naira in Series 2 fixed-rate senior unsecured notes as part of a 300 billion naira multi-instrument issuance campaign. According to Mitchell Pacheco, Group Managing Director of Dangote Cement, the objective of the fundraising was to finance Dangote's expansion projects, noting that proceeds of the bond issuance will be used to finance the company's Nigeria expansion projects, short-term debt-free financing and working capital requirements, as the company is delighted to have concluded the most significant corporate bond issuance in the history of Nigerian debt capital market. Housing Development Advocacy Network, HDAN, Nigeria's premier housing advocacy organization, has stressed the need for housing to be prioritized in the manifestos of all candidates running for local government chairmanship, governorship and presidential positions in the upcoming 2023 elections. This was made known by the executive director of HDAN, Festus Adebayo, in a press statement released recently in Abuja. According to him, it was past time for Nigeria to follow the lead of other sophisticated countries where housing is prioritized as a significant component of political manifestos. He stressed the importance of analyzing each political candidate's manifestos as well as figure out improved ways in addressing Nigeria's housing crisis, however warning Nigerians to be cautious in their decisions during the elections, as it's critical for aspirants to make housing a priority and provide Nigerians with detailed information on how they plan to address the country's housing shortage. Experts have decried the worrisome state of building projects in Lagos State, as 95% of these building projects fail to comply with statutory soil testing, putting them at risk of collapse. Dr. Akinshola Olufemi, a building specialist, made this known recently during the Builders Business Workshop in Lagos, a capacity building program organized by the Lagos State chapter of the Nigerian Institute of Building to train professionals builders on construction methodology and industry best practices. According to Olufemi, the importance of construction methodology has become a compulsory requirement before commencement of construction projects in the state, adding that there is the need to integrate the methodology into the current academic curriculum of the Nigerian Institute of Building in order to help builders in training become acquainted with industry best practices. The African International Housing Show, AIHS, formerly Abuja International Housing Show, has announced its focus to hold a one-day summit scheduled to hold on July 25th, 2022 at the International Conference Center, Abuja, alongside the upcoming 16th edition of its annual AIHS event for the media, stakeholders, and professional bodies across various areas in the construction and housing industry that will engage political leaders and aspirants who are aspiring to take leadership roles in the housing sector by 2023. The Chief Executive Officer and Convener of AIHS, Barrister Festus Adebayo, noted the essence of the summit, which is to facilitate a roundtable discussion with political leaders and public office holders to reappraise the housing sector while also extraying the challenges of housing in Nigeria. According to Adebayo, there is a need for the reorientation of key stakeholders' approach towards the housing sector to solve national issues, provide job opportunities, and enable a sustainable economic growth.
Those are the major headlines making rounds in the sector. For more, visit www.africanhousingnews.com. Let's start this edition with the recent building collapse in Lagos State. President Muhammadu Buhari has termed this as an embarrassment to the nation. This is one building collapse too many in Lagos State. Let's hear from the chairman, Building Collapse Protection Guild, Lagos State Chapter, Estate Sovereign Valuers, Jide Olayinka.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you for this program. And we are really in need of this advocacy, and we want it to be constantly in the air for people to now know various efforts that is being done or being carried out by building collapse prevention guilds. Greater number of time, we have problem concerning the enforcement of the laws in Lagos State. When you talk about especially the current collapse, these buildings have been marked for over 8, 9, or 12 months ago, but no action was taken. In a situation whereby a building has been tested and failed integrity tests, definitely within the next few days or months, maximum 90 days, of various giving notice for people to vacate the various buildings, this building can be demolished controlledly. There is what we call controlled demolition. In other words, all security and safety measures must have been put in place, notice sent out, and the awareness of what is going to happen concerning the controlled demolition is made available to the neighborhood. And as a result, the emergency of you looking for a bulldozer to come and excavate will not be there. Some of these have records of it has been marked, but they still continue to work. Now, some of them are also say, okay, fine, these are the various problems of this construction. Rectify it and let us know. Some of them will not be rectified. There will be no feedback, just for you to go to site and still see that the work continues. Greater number of time, if you ask them on site, they ask you to go to Alasa and find out. So these are the various problems we are facing. And we have also mentioned, just like the one that collapsed, the landlord packed out as far back as November last year. And he has given instruction to all his tenants to also vacate the premises, but they did not. And since the integrity test has been carried out and confirmed it has failed, I see no reason why the demolition will still be delayed up to now. Our interview with some of the survivors said that they were pleading with the government agency to allow them till June so that they will be able to pack out. But those people that pleaded for June cannot even see May or end of May. So these are the various things. And when you now say the government agencies have already earmarked or they went everywhere, then automatically once a building is cited, there are a lot of buildings like in Yaba and Ebutimeta. There are a lot of surveys that were carried out about 2-3 years ago. Some of those buildings are still there. Some of them are empty. Some of them are still, but greater number of times, once the integrity test has proved that a building is fit and unfit for habitation, the next thing is to arrange for it to be demolished under effective control of any of the authorities of the ministry, department, or the agency that are responsible.
Estate Sovereign Valuer Jide Olayinka there. There is need for Lagos State government to do more in the area of enforcement if really they want to protect lives and properties. On May 1st, Nigerian workers joined their counterpart all over the world to celebrate May Day. To get to know more about their housing challenges, Housing Development Crew spoke with some of the civil servants as they celebrate the day. Have a look.
It has been a problem that up to now it's not solved yet. Because when you look at as a civil servant, you start maybe you are employed this year, you hope to work for the next 35 years. And one important thing is after 35 years and you can't have your own house, it's a problem. And the housing program has not been so effective. To be sincere, it has not been effective. If it's effective, only few people that have benefited out of this. You can imagine somebody earning 30,000 naira. There are a lot of issues on ground, family problems, personal problems. How much are you going to save? How much are you going to spend? Look at the cost of building materials. First of all, you have to obtain your land, the starting of the plan, what type of house you want to erect. 30,000 naira is not achievable.
85% of teachers today are private teachers, and I'm telling you, where a security, a guard sleeps is better than where a private teacher sleeps. There is a private teacher don't have any hope as far as this country is concerned. What I'm going to say is, if Nigeria should just give a total attention, like a total attention to education, I think the pride of the teacher, or where a teacher is going to, the housing sector of the teacher can be handled.
Problem is that for long we have not employed. We have shortage of manpower, and before we get land to develop, it's a problem. FCDA hardly give us assistance by giving us a plot to develop. That's our major problem.
Honestly, I'm privileged to work with payroll in my office. The National Housing Fund, if you look at the template that they normally send to our agency, the amount that the staff can access is very small. So in essence, they make it so complex in a such way that as a senior staff, you can only access maybe between 7 to 10 million naira. And most of these mortgage homes, when they come with the houses, you discover that the rate is around 14 to 17 million naira. So we find it very difficult to access house under these current rules that they put in place.
It's definitely no, because government themselves or government workers, government themselves, they know that yes, this cannot take us far, because go to market now, go to even where they are selling the housing material, you cannot get anything that this our take-home pay can buy. Is it the cost of cement? Is it the cost of the roof top? Where do you look at it from? Cannot take us. We are looking at 30,000 naira here. What is 30,000 naira in a month? Look at the transport cost. Where do you save from? The money is just too bigger that it cannot take us anywhere.
The situation of things, of the economy, 30,000 can't even get you maybe beyond 2 days. That's transportation, lights, feeding your children, buying food in the house. Can't do much. I'm sorry, and it's far below what should be had. You want to buy a house now, you're starting up as a civil servant in the civil service. More or less, it's difficult. Because if you look at the interest rates of the loans you're going to have to get and incur, you might not be able to feed your family with that. Even if it's going to be 25 years lease, it's going to be difficult for you to do anything apart from just paying back the money. So I think they should look for even low-cost housing, maybe set some architects to go around and do like competition where you can have functional houses but with materials that are not substandard, but they're cheap enough and locally available. So at least get people to start off the housing ladder.
Housing is very key and is very important. And one of the reasons why it's like this is because the resources is meager, especially when it comes to the issue of the salary today. You understand that the minimum wage, since it has been raised to 30,000, the inflation is actually struggling with the minimum wage. Of course, you have the money, but the value of the money today is not something to talk about because no matter how much you earn today, if the inflation is very high, you will not get value for your money. So Nigerian workers find it very difficult in that particular aspect. It's not realistic. You cannot depend on the minimum wage. Today we talk about minimum wage as 30,000. And when we talk about 30,000, a common Nigerian that is not even working, going to work, if you give him 30,000 and begin to spend the 30,000, is nothing to talk about. Not to talk of a worker who has to transport himself from his home to the office, and we're not talking a distance that is trackable.
you have it, housing plight of the civil servant. Housing has been acknowledged generally as a key human necessity, but when the ordinary Nigerian worker, whose earnings and wages are now strongly depressed and unable to fulfill their fundamental necessities, what then becomes of the dream of such a civil servant owning a home before retirement? How can more civil servants in Nigeria become home owners? Let's watch this.
The Nigerian civil servants are saddled with the responsibility of rendering services for the betterment of the country, which lasts for 35 years. In the course of serving, they expect some dividends in terms of housing, but unfortunately, their hopes get dashed as the housing situation in the country is in a worrisome state, hence becoming an intractable problem as housing remains a basic need of every civil servant and humans in general. In an interview with the National Public Relations Officer of Pegasus, he stated how the current minimum wage of the civil servants in Nigeria cannot cater for their need, analyzing why it is so. He also added that the process of procuring a home as a civil servant has not been an easy one.
For an average house in Nigeria, there's no way 30,000 naira per month can afford an average worker housing, except that guy would not do any other thing in his life. Remember, they pay transport, they have children, they have rent to pay on other bills. So when you say how well will it, the answer is it cannot even afford a land, the bare land, not to talk of now building. So no.
The chairman of NEPC, Barrister Ben Acho, added that a public-private partnership is needed to solve the current problem of housing, bedeviling the civil servants, as the government alone will not be able to do it all.
My organization is not different, it's not separated from Nigeria. We have had issues of mass housing, but my organization is doing its best to be able to ensure that housing is taken care of within the house, but the federal government input will have actually done us better. The best way to go about it now is that let's talk about solution. A public-private partnership will be a welcome idea because government itself cannot by itself alone take care of Nigeria completely.
The chairman of Medical and Health Workers Union, National Institute of Pharmaceutical Research and Development, Abuja, compared the government's effort in providing affordable housing for civil servants to a drop of water in the ocean as the population overwhelms the effort, which is seen to be minimal.
It's a drop in the ocean. That effort is a drop in the ocean. It's too minimal. It's not even seen as it is now. Because look at the population. Look at the number of civil servants that we have. Look, not even the civil servants, look at the numbers of Nigerians we have. You see a father and 4 children living in one room. As it is now, we can still tell you there are people who still live under shanties, under the bridges, in many places in this country. So the government effort, yes, government have put in an effort, but that effort is a drop in the ocean.
The zonal chairman of Pegasus, Lagos Zone, stated that the process of owning a home as a civil servant in Nigeria is challenging, but can be resolved with proper engagement and some other policies that can be made by the government and other stakeholders.
We know that there is a national housing scheme and the mortgage fund, and recently the federal government deliberately is building houses across the 36 states. It's a little bit challenging, but I believe we can improve the process. And one of the ways of improving the process is engagement. Both the stakeholders in the housing sector, in the financing, and then the employer of labor, which is the federal government and the private sector. I believe, as Pengasa member, is dialogue and engagement, because when there is communication, effective communication, you'll be able to see the gaps, you'll be able to identify the loopholes, you'll be able to spot areas of improvement, bearing in mind that the largest room in life is the room of self-improvement, and housing can be made affordable, can be made available, and can also be made accessible, and Nigerians will be better off for it.
The housing plight, particularly for civil servants in Nigeria, remains an obstinate problem. As such, civil servants have used the just concluded May Day to draw the attention of the government to their housing situation.
glad you're still with me. Coming up next is the 16th Abuja International Housing Show report.
Abuja International Housing Show brings an amazing opportunity to exhibit, network, develop new business relationships, and make sales. Here are things you must know about Abuja International Housing Show. The Abuja International Housing Show is Africa's biggest building and construction show, with more than 15,000 participants and over 400 exhibitors from 21 countries. Its large international participation provides excellent opportunities for global sharing of knowledge, expertise, products, and best practices. Abuja International Housing Show brings together industry leaders, investors, buyers, and entrepreneurs to develop markets and business partnerships. The event gives you access to leading-edge technical information, equipment exhibition, and valuable new professional contacts from around the world. Abuja International Housing Show, the largest housing expo in Africa.
Welcome back. The program is Housing Development. Brains and Hammers Bungalow City is up next.
Over the time, we have built expertise and reputations. And as part of our contribution to contribute to reducing the housing deficit in Nigeria, we feel by building cities, affordable housing will actually help Nigerians to actually secure houses that are standard, that are green, that can also make them feel or have the taste of Brains and Hammers.
Payment plan, your initial payment of 20%, that makes you to have a contract with us. The next installment is after 3 months. You can pay your 30%. So within that 1 year, you're making up your 100%.
Every time I go to site, I feel happy because I see we're creating employment in thousands, not just in small numbers. From the market women handling food, to suppliers on site, to the block industries, to the artisans. These are all people that you see in thousands. When you go to Bungalow City, I look around and I feel good. I know that this is part of the things that we want to do. We want to empower people, we want to train people, and we are doing that. In terms of houses, we've built 10,000 houses so far, and we plan to build 25,000 houses. So you can see we are working with organizations to reduce the housing deficit in Nigeria, also helping civil servants to secure houses, secure their future, secure their family. That's what we are doing.
Nigerian workers, who are the driving force of the nation's development because of their invaluable contributions to the growth of the economy, desire wanting most to become homeowners before or upon retirement. Every civil servant deserves to live in their own house. That is it on today's edition of Housing Development. Thanks for watching. I remain Flora Ani, your housing diva. Do have a pleasant day ahead.